Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett, and in this video, we're talking all about how to design, how to decorate your home when your partner has no style. Now, what I will say is that may come off as harsh, but the positive end of this is that they did choose you, so at least we know they have great taste. Now, I also want to make it clear to you that I personally cannot relate to this struggle because my husband has fantastic style. So there you go, there you have it. Obviously, I know everything there is to know about everything, so I don't have an issue with this, but I am more than happy to help you. Now, the first thing we have to discuss when it comes to decorating when your partner has no style is that, well, we have to figure out what that style is. And together, you, I, and them, we are gonna figure it out, we're gonna make it work, and we're gonna make your home beautiful, elevated, sophisticated, and everything it needs to be by working together. Not everybody has a specific style they like, okay? Maybe they just don't care. And that can be a good thing too, because then it's my way plus whatever it is that, works for you, which is great. But the first thing you can do to figure out your partner's style is show them examples of what you're thinking and what you like with some variation. You can either stick to the style you have in mind and say like, oh, this is a little lighter, this is a little darker, how's this color? Which works because then you're kind of giving them a choice to choose between what you already like, which could also be deemed as gaslighting, but sometimes that's what makes a marriage work. The other end of that is showing them examples of what could be possible. Look up what feature you have in your home or what kind of idea you have. Maybe it's this sofa. What are people doing with something that's similar to that? And show them ideas to determine what they like and what makes them feel comfortable in that space. The other thing you can do is take a look at what you already have and how your partner is interacting in that space. Do they like to sit here on the sofa in the corner of the sectional and watch TV? Well, now we have a limitation as to what we're going to bring into this space. You can definitely do that to figure out, okay, my partner doesn't have a specific style, but they do have specific things they like that we need to incorporate. And then you can build and layer everything that you want in the space around those requirements, because at the end of the day, you're not the only person that lives in your home, okay? So this person is gonna be there. That's the whole point of being in a relationship with someone that you love. You want them to be near you. You want them to be happy and comfortable. So let's focus on that first, and then we can figure out the styling details afterward. Now, obviously, if you are having a difficult time, and I understand that, combining different design styles or just figuring out what you both like in a home or just figuring out what you want to do for your next renovation or the current project you're working on, I am at your service. You can always book a one-on-one consultation with me using the link in the description box down below or going to intro.co/GarrettLeChic. Now let's talk about what happens if you have different styles, because sometimes your partner does have style. They have a specific style. It's just not yours. And sometimes they have a specific style that's not yours and doesn't look good, but that's also beside the point. What we can do is start looking for similarities to blend the two together. Yes, the space will feel a little bit more eclectic, but at the end of the day, when you're combining two styles, it's not just a hodgepodge of random stuff together. It does have a lot of thought put into it. So the easiest way to go about combining different design styles is to look for similarities. If you have ultra modern and contemporary mixed with, ultra traditional, these two can actually be blended together in a really interesting way just through the use of color. And actually it can have a very museum-like feel, which does actually align with a lot of that modern style, but you can feature some of your gorgeous traditional pieces. And it's all about determining what you like, the two of you coming together, figuring out what your individual styles are, and then looking for the similarities. Maybe it's the wall color that's the same. Maybe it's the furniture layout that's the same. Now we have something we can start to build off of to get you where you want to be in a space that you both will love and enjoy. Things to look out for when combining design styles are going to be the colors, the wall colors specifically, and also accessory, accent, and decor colors, maybe patterns that are similar or could be universal. I'd also say wood tones are an easy way to layer different styles together. If you're sticking to one or two wood tones and combining them and being consistent with it, it will feel natural and it will feel good no matter what you're doing. In addition to that, look at layouts, room layouts, or furniture piece styling. You know, if you have a really traditional style and a really contemporary style in a dining room, maybe you want to have a round table instead of a rectangular table, because that's going to feel more modern but still have a traditional reference or throwback that will get you both what you're after. There are always fine details and styles you can incorporate. You could color drench a space that has a lot of beautiful traditional moldings to make it feel more modern, and incorporate a more modern light fixture in that space that will juxtapose the architecture, enhancing both of them, giving the both of you what you want. And I think that's fantastic. Sometimes it comes down to something like picking a sofa. Like, let's say, you know, one of you has really traditional style, one of you has really modern style. Well, a great period in time to look for a sofa inspired by would be mid-century, because a lot of those have clean lines and shapes to them, but they'll have something like tufting or a rolled arm on them that will reference back to that traditional style. That's a great place to blend the two of them. Maybe you get a sofa that's a little lower but a little more traditional, or something that has a classic scale but clean and simple lines. Those are great elements to look for in a furniture piece to bridge the divide between two different design styles. It is also worth considering that you can have a combined style for, you know, the public areas in your home, but then maybe you each have your own spaces. Honey, you have your room and he has his man cave. Everybody loves a good man cave. And then you can each have your own spaces and your own style in those areas that fit and suit your needs and make you the most comfortable. And, you know, you can go and visit each other in those spaces every once in a while. And I think that's fantastic too. Now, no matter what your style is, honey, you know I have got the answers for you, which is why if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, it does explain some things. Okay, I'm looking around the background, I'm seeing what's going on, choices, but you should join us, take a moment, hit that subscribe button, and become a part of the LeChic family. We would love to have you here. It would mean the world to me and cost you absolutely nothing. Oh, honey, and while you're at it, go ahead and hit that like button. Thanks. People have different ways of thinking, and sometimes that's the issue you and your partner have. Some people are definitely more creative minded, while others are more analytical. I would say that's definitely the case for my husband and I. I'm probably the more creative aspect of our style, while he's a little bit more analytical. So sometimes it's like, I have a vision in my head, I can come up with it, and he's like, well, I have to see it. And that is something you can run into when you're designing with your partner. And it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but there's easy ways to overcome that. And this is something I find a lot with my design clients. Now, what I would say is that for the more analytical thinker, you kind of have to break things down and make it into almost a formula of sorts as to how we figure things out and how we move through the design process. And an example might be, here's the perfect size rug for the room. A lot of people are gonna have issues with finding the correct colors they want in the space, or this or that, whatever. I always say start with a piece of inspiration. Maybe it's a pattern, a fabric, a piece of artwork you like, and then we can draw from there. So while we have that piece of art, I'm going to choose one of the most common colors in that image for the rug. So if the background of the image is like an off-white or a cream, I'm probably gonna lean to something that has a lot of that in it. Or if it's teal, I'm gonna choose the teal, because that's what is going to work and reference back to that the most. And we're gonna put a lot of furniture on that rug, so you're not gonna see all too much of it. Now, that's a good place to start with the color. When we address the size, we want the furniture to sit on the rug completely or in a certain way. So I'm gonna say, let's look for the correct size rug and then start looking for a sofa. We're gonna do that simultaneously so that we find the perfect size sofa to fit on that rug and the perfect size rug to fit in that room. You see, we're creating a list. Here's what's happening here and here and here. And now we can start saying, okay, what's the next piece we're looking for? We're looking for chairs. We need to find chairs that are the same seat height and back height as the sofa. Let's go from there and find those correct chairs. Now we're looking at a coffee table, and now we have all of the major furniture pieces for the room. We're just accessorizing. We're taking colors from that painting and we're gonna get accessories in that color scheme. There you go. It's as simple as that. That's for the analytical thinker. Now, the more creative thinker is gonna come up with 3 ideas for everything, and they're gonna confuse themselves. So the two of you can actually balance each other out perfectly. I personally think when you figure out the way your partner thinks and the way their mind works, you can then formulate a great design plan for your home. Like I said, my husband has great style, okay? And actually our styles naturally align with each other and it works out really well, but he's more of an analytical thinker, which means I have to put that planning in place and walk him through it so that he can see it in his head, he can visualize it, and that way he feels confident in what's happening in our home as well. And sometimes that's what you have to do in your home with your partner also. Now, if you're both creative-minded people or both analytically minded people, the possibilities are endless, and I would say looking up inspiration is gonna be the best source for you, and having that inspiration on hand so you can reference back, because at a certain point in your project, you're always gonna self-doubt. You're gonna say like, oh, I don't think this is looking good. It's probably not correct. What do we do here? We messed it up. Once you have that inspiration, you can go back and reference. You'll have more confidence in what you're doing. Also, it wouldn't hurt to book a consultation with me because I, of course, can answer all of your questions, but that's beside the point. A word I don't like to use that often. It's something I don't really like doing, but everyone in a relationship knows what this is, and that's called compromise. Sometimes you have to compromise to make your partner happy. And a lot of times that can be a tough thing to do. And I think being good at compromising is what really makes a strong relationship, because there's a give and a take there, right? So when it comes to designing your home and it comes to compromising on something, what I would say the best thing to focus on when two people don't agree is we have to look at maintenance, we have to look at quality, and we have to look at cost. Those are going to be the big deciding factors when it comes to what we're choosing for the space. For example, if your partner really wants a leather sofa and you really want that gorgeous linen sofa, well, there's a big difference there. The cost of a leather sofa is probably going to be a lot more than the linen. And the maintenance of a leather sofa could be lower, but depending on the needs of your home, we could get a performance fabric on that linen sofa, and then, you know, it has that same level there. So it comes down to what's the best fit for the space? What's the best compromise? Is it going to be the size of the sofa that works best there, or what? You have to figure out what your partner likes, and then you have to figure out what are you willing to give up on, because maybe you don't want that leather sofa, you really want the linen sofa, and so you say, well, I'm not willing to give up on that, but I will let you have a leather recliner. And we can find something that's really beautiful, something that's elevated. Sure, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive to get something great, but that's what happens. And then you two are both happy. I personally have found that when we compromise on something in the design of a space, it ends up feeling better and more realistic and more personality driven. And that's what I like to see in a home. I see on social media all of the time where it's like, you know, these like designers or whatever, they're like, oh, you know, when your client wants a recliner, and they like make a disgusting face, or they're like, no, whatever. I don't really feel that way. Like, I don't personally love a recliner because, you know, just aesthetically, I think the scale of them is weird. Like the back of them is usually really high or whatever. So I tend to look for some that are like transformers, where the headrest comes up and the footrest comes up, and then we have something that looks good when it's not reclined, okay, when it's all tucked away and put away, but, you know, my clients get the best of the both worlds, of what they want. So I think there is something to be said for that, and looking out for those sorts of compromises. And even when it comes to color, I'm never one to say, no, you can't have that thing you really want because it just doesn't work with our space or whatever. I'm gonna sit there and say, okay, you know, here's how we take that and make it work. So what other changes can we make? Are you willing to compromise on the color of that, or the upholstery on that, the wood tone of that? How do we incorporate that and make it work? And sometimes my clients are like, no, it's not worth it. We don't want that. Or sometimes they're like, oh my goodness, that's even better. That's so amazing. I can't believe you came up with that. It's perfect. And that's something great too. Compromise is really what leads to people living real lives in real spaces. And like I said, it creates a very personality-driven space. Sometimes when we've compromised on things in our home between my husband and I, it really has made it feel so much more personal to us. And maybe it's not 100% correct design-wise, but the rules of design, they're not real, okay? Like, it's not like you're gonna break a rule and I'm gonna call up the police and report you, okay? Not saying I haven't ever tried it, but apparently a visual assault isn't a real thing. Sometimes it's worth giving up on what, you know, your partner wants to make them happy in your home, instead of really forcing them to have something they don't want, they won't like, or they won't use, because then you have a space in your house that is just not getting used, And then, well, now you're paying for all that extra square footage, honey, that nobody is using and you don't really need. But once again, that could reference back to you having your own spaces. If your partner really wants, a gaming room or a recliner where they can watch football games and you don't want that in the formal living room, maybe having that man cave could be the perfect thing. Sometimes when it comes to compromising, your partner wants something that is disgusting, gross, and tacky, and they should probably check out this video right over here to learn all about the things that make your house look tacky and we could say goodbye to. Therefore, I will hopefully see you and them right over here.